let's talk about what do we want to do. So one, I'll say maybe this person's like on TRT, for example. Because we're talking somebody who's 45 to 60 years old, right? They've been challenged, and maybe they're not. And I'll give some scenarios. I'll give a couple different like avatar, clients here. But I use that one up front to start talking about aligning these things with our natural rhythm, our circadian rhythm. It is important. So, it's just the TRT one is a really interesting discussion because we see so many people doing subcutaneous TRT injections now. It's longer lasting, disperses a little bit slower. That kind of moves the trigger. But if we take this further, we can do even better. And then I'll tie this to peptides as well. So just from a hormone approach, and this is what I'm talking about, and that's why I went there first. I want to take these pulses and align them with when those pulses in the body would normally be. So a bodybuilder might normally use growth hormone in the morning or either pre or post workout. We would use a growth hormone product, and I would use definitely a growth hormone releasing peptide. I think that's so far superior to growth hormone direct or exogenous because we're stimulating our body's natural production. We're stimulating our pituitary. So there's two different compounds typically. So one stimulates the hypothalamus and the other stimulates the ghrelin receptor. So there's two different pathways that we can target to stimulate and squeeze and get a really amazing pulse of growth hormone. So on one side, that would be like CJC 1295. That would be one that stimulates the hypothalamus. You might also have like tesmorelin. People will often get prescribed that by a doc, and it's touted as being great. Honestly, CJC 1295 blows it away. It is much better, and there's less side effects. So tesmorelin, I see it a lot more. It is a stronger on the IGF release, but it ends up having some blood sugar issues, particularly with females. You get a lot more water retention. You get some pain site injections. And if you're highly sympathetic sensitive, which a number of people in this avatar are going to be, because of the life that they've run, it might actually ramp you up and make you have problems sleeping. So they end up having to take it in the morning. Not aligned with the pulse that we want. We want an evening pulse. That way, we're lined up before bed where we've got a nice signal that aligns with our natural rhythm. Then we combine that with something like ipamorelin. So that would be hitting the ghrelin receptor. My preference is to use CJC without DAC. A lot of people recommend it with because it releases the sustained pulse. Well, we want to have clearance. We want to actually allow the receptor to recover as well. So the short acting aligns with the circadian rhythm, has a pulse more aligned with that. So that combo is absolutely phenomenal. Super clean, and it's going to improve your quality of sleep near instantly. I've had so many people actually switch from growth hormone to that after they've tried it and went, oh, wow, this is way better. Plus cleaner, you don't get the water retention. And then long-term, your hair's better, your skin's better, your joints are feeling better. Like this stuff, you'll start feeling it 4 to 6 months. So I recommend doing that 5 days on, 2 days off. That allows you to have a little bit of break for that. And then you don't necessarily need it. There's a lot of people, regenerative docs that don't do that, but 5-2, really great protocol, and then allows you to run it for great lengths of time because you're going to love it. So yeah, it's a good protocol for that. So with that, I like to mix in some things that also improve the signaling pathways. Right. So what do I mean by that? Well, as I mentioned earlier with the inflammation, and there's many other things, like if the cells are for use of a better term, in fight or flight syndrome, they're not going to want to respond. If you've got some GI issues that, we've got some Crohn's, other stuff going, like we're going to need to calm that stuff down. We need to get the body in a more normal state. So, if you've got issues like that, I would put in a product like tributyrene or butyrate. It's going to be really good. It's a short chain amino acid, and it's going to help stimulate, again, the signaling that peptides do. It's going to make them more effective while also kind of dealing with that issue. Another one, anything that's got phospholipids. So you can find a lot of supplements that use phospholipids to improve the supplement effectivity. So that is going to be good. If you don't, product called phosphatidylserine serine is a really great one, and you may see that as an ingredient on some. So that's a phospholipid that's really great. One that kind of falls in the same class, but it's not quite a phospholipid. It's C15-0 or fatty 15. So this is a fatty acid, kind of like your omegas, but slightly different. It has properties like being a senolytic, so it's going to help pair off the dead cells. It's going to improve cognition. It's going to help with the signaling. So these are some base level things that we would do. And I mention that now because I would probably pick in some things that are going to have some positive effect on that, like magnesium. So I would pick a magnesium L-threonate typically is going to be my one, particularly for this client profile that we're talking about, because it's the only version that passes the blood-brain barrier and is going to have the cognitive impact as well. So I would typically put that in the evening. I would pair it with some glycine as well, maybe 5 to 10 grams of glycine. That's going to be your building blocks that your body is going to use for the collagen, the so on, like that the CJ, that your growth hormone release is going to work with, right? It's also going to affect glutathione, which again, that's a whole detox pathway. Like it just kind of builds upon it. The magnesium L-threonate typically has the phosphatidyl serine in it, so that phospholipid, so it kind of covers that ground, so it makes the L-theanate work better. So yeah, that would be the evening routine: is 5-10 grams of glycine, Magnel 3-8, which may have that phosphatidyl. Now I just boogered the name of that, and your growth hormone releasing peptide. So I mentioned the TRT for the same reason around the circadian rhythm. This seems minor, and I've been talking about this for like a decade, and folks in the bodybuilding world still argue with me around ester cleaving rates and this and that. Yeah, I understand that. I understand half-lives. I understand the accumulation. You're missing the point entirely. Your testosterone pulse is in the morning. So when you switch to a sub-Q injection, it kind of gets you more leveled with the daily dosage. So it's effective. But now I would do it, your TRT daily intramuscular, because we actually want to have it hit fast and at the same pulse, and then hopefully have as much clear as possible, again, so that the receptors have a chance to recover, particularly those androgen receptors that over time are going to, as they get resistant, is going to help it's going to deal with some insulin resistance and other factors that may develop over 10, 20 years if you're going to be on TRT for a long time.
Are you taking a micro dose daily then if you're taking it every day?
And that sounds complicated, but you're literally just going to take, like, let's say a typical dose is either a half or 1 ml a week. Take an insulin syringe that's 1 ml and load it up with 1 ml for the week. And every day, it takes you literally 3 seconds to go boom. And you can go anywhere because it's such a small dose. So you do 1/7 of it every day. And at the end of the week, if you were a little off or missed a day, you can see it right there and you finish it up. It's so fast and so easy to do that approach. There's hardly any argument, and you can't feel it. It's an insulin needle. You just pull the plunger off the back, put your 1 ml, put the plunger back in there, or you get one that you change it on. Boom, 3 seconds, done. Now we've got trust me, this will play up. You will start feeling better over time. We're getting these pulses aligned with your diurnal rhythm, and it's going to start, like, everything starts happening. Yeah, with that, you pair like trying to get some light exposure in the morning, right? If you can't do that, get some red light therapy or something that, or a D light, something in that nature, because again, this makes a big difference. So yeah, I haven't got super into the peptides yet, but we touched on the growth hormones. So this is kind of your hormonal stuff. So let's dive into other modalities that we might want to work on here. If we've got, well, I mentioned, so I'd probably put in TUDCA as well with the GI person. With that, I would also do an oral BPC, GHK, and KPV up front for like 30 to 60 days to rebuild the cross-linking in the gut. That's going to have a big systemic input. And even though injectable peptides are more efficacious, the orals are going to deliver more. And unfortunately, I don't sell orals. I sell injectables. So trust me, I trust me when I say this stuff. Start 30 to 60 days with that up front, and it'll make a big difference because you're not only, those are going systemic, but they're affecting the vagus nerve that way, which is also has this cascade of effects to the brain and the rest of the body. All right. Then if we're dealing with, like, let's say autoimmune, and I say that because, again, I see that a fair bit with some of this population, or an achy shoulder or so on, or I want to recover from workouts better. So I would use either what's called the Glow blend or the Clo blend. So Glow is your TB 500 and your BPC 157, which are commonly known for recovery, right? So they also help you increase your androgen receptor density. So if you're not on TRT or on TRT, it's going to bring some greater effectivity to the peptides to the hormones that you have available, right? You're going to upregulate those, and you're going to be able to recover from training better. You're going to get better results, right? So GHK is going to affect your hair, your skin, your joints. And again, it affects like 4,000 different mechanisms for wound repair if you've got an injury as well. So if you've got an injury, go towards where it's at, but otherwise you just do it twice a day. The easiest protocol for this. So typically a vial you would reconstitute with 2 ml, and you would take 5 IU morning, 5 IU evening. If you want the actual dose, I recommend the compound that is 50 milligrams of GHK, 10 milligrams of TB, 10 of BPC, and so that'd come out to 70 milligrams in the vial. You would take 1.75 milligrams morning, 1.75 evening. The Clo has KPV in it, which is a massive anti-inflammatory. And that was the one I suggested taking orally the first 30 to 60. Well, then you could switch to the more efficacious injectable version that's going to help keep those signals calm. And so you would use that. It's the same thing as the Glow, but it has 10 milligrams of KPV. So it's 80 milligrams. So it would be 2 milligrams morning, 2 milligrams evening. Or again, if I reconstitute with 2 ml, it would be 5 IU morning, 5 IU evening. You're going to be able to recover better. So for anyone that's 45 plus, I think you're probably going to enjoy a 12-week cycle of this, like twice a year at the minimum. If you want to run it more frequently, so by 12 weeks, I'm usually recommending going 5 days on, 2 days off. That is going to allow you to have a vial last a whole month. It's mostly a cost-cutting measure. If you've got an injury, I recommend running it every day, 7 days a week. But if not, 12 weeks on, 8 weeks off, 6 to 8 weeks off, and repeat. If you really like it, you could do that kind of through the year. If not, you're probably really going to like to do it like twice a year, because again, it's going to just bring everything back. Your joints are going to be better. It's going to have a positive impact on the skin, the hair, all those things, right? So that's just base level stuff. Now we get into recovery of mitochondria. One, big fan of ketones, beta hydroxybutyrate, really great. Acetylene L-carnitine, absolutely tremendous. So speaking of that, we were talking about androgen receptors earlier. So let's say you're a full natty, but you want to boost your hormone levels. 1,500 milligrams of Alcar and 1,500 milligrams of L-tartrate twice a day, 3,000 total. 6 weeks on, 4 weeks off. Man, it is powerful. There's a bunch of other stuff I'd probably do with someone if I looked at their blood work, because we need to look at SHBG, LH, FSH, and we can just hire that in. Typically, I can bring up somebody's natural test points around 300 to 350 points with some herbal supplements, right? That's pretty decent. Acetylene L-carnitine also enhances mitochondrial function. It also helps deliver and transport those fats into and make it available to the electron transport chain to be able to consume for energy, as well as impacting how the mitochondria functions as well. So I'm a huge proponent of that. If you combine Alcar and ketones in the morning with like a 2-hour fast, particularly an injectable Alcar, man, it is super powerful for resetting your energy system. So improving the that ability to switch into oxidative phosphorylation, because typically you're more stuck on the glycolysis side than oxidative phosphorylation, and it really sets that for the day. So super powerful. That's a really thing. Like if I've got somebody that's diabetic, pre-diabetic, um, with lipid metabolism issues, I'm going to do that. If not, I'm just going to go into, have them take some Alcar. Maybe they don't want to deal with the injections. That's fine. And then I would go into some mitochondrial peptides. SLUPP 332, absolutely phenomenal if somebody wants to lose some weight, feel better, have some good energy. I like to do that just on workout days, so 3 or 4 days a week. That way you can run it pretty continuously. If you cycle it, if you want to use it every day, if you're really focused on weight loss type things, you're going to have to look at some of the cycling protocols around that. If you really want to step that up, I talked about the reprogramming the mitochondria or fixing the broken engine. That would be MOTS-C is absolutely phenomenal. And MOTS-C, that's going to be a morning product or pre-workout as long as it's not too late in the day. Typically, you're going to want to take at least 20 milligrams a week to be effective. It is a fairly expensive product. So it's typically 10 milligrams, 2 to 3 days a week on your training days. But it is absolutely phenomenal, improves your blood glucose levels, your everything across the board. I mean, it's amazing. SS31, you would put in intermittently. It's going to come in and repair that engine or the broken mechanics of it. If I'm combining the two together, this is super expensive, but man, it is a moneymaker program, is 5 milligrams of SS31 before bed and 5 milligrams of MOTS-C in the morning, just on a, 5, 6, 7 days a week. That gets you, 20, 30 milligrams of each a day. Otherwise, you want to use SS31 at a higher dose kind of on your lower energy days. But if you do that smaller dose before bed, then you've got the recovery window overnight. Then you kick it up with the MOTS-C in the morning. Trust me, your energy levels, your cognition, like there's a ton of cognitive peptides out there. You're not going to waste your time with them just because you start functioning so well. Your clarity, your mental, like it's just absolutely phenomenal. So those are some quick dosage on the SLUPP. I missed that. There's a lot of conversation around that out there. First, I see people see great results with around 400 mcg, maybe 600 mcg, post workout or in the afternoon training days. Works great. So there's people that are pushing that way higher, but I also see a lot of side effects and a hit or miss. Like I'm all about minimal effective dosage. Like that works great. And that can be taken orally or injectable. If you're injectable, you'd probably take the dose down a little bit. But typically I sell an oral version. Actually, I sell both because some people are really convinced that only the injectable works. Trust me, the oral works. I've got both with urolithin A. So urolithin A is another. It's an herbal compound, kind of a derivative of pomegranate, but it's a mitochondrial enhancing product, and really works well with SLUPP. And I sell those as a combo, but you can get them from other people too.